and here we go. Hello and welcome to a very special retro remake from Impact Gamers. We're going to be making Frogger. Frogger came out in 1981 from Konami, and Crossy Roads, you might recognise, is very similar modern remake to it. You're a frog, you go across the road, you go across the pond, and you try and fill up those little gaps in the background to complete the level. And we're going to have a go making it in Clickteam Fusion. So let's head over, and you might notice in honour I've turned myself into a frog. We're going to start a new application. The application's default is 640 by 480, so that's a rectangle. That's not widescreen, that's sort of a 4 by 3 old school sized square. Let's go into the frame. There it is. And that was what screens used to be like, but we're going to actually make it square, because if you have a look at Frogger, well, it's even rectangular the other way, so we're going to make it rectangular the other way. So to change the size of your game, click on Application, go to the Windows Properties, and we're going to set the size to be, we'll just reverse these, 480 by 640, and that's probably on the drop down list here anyway. No, it's not, but anyway. Click, do you want to modify the size of the frames? Yeah, we want all of the levels, all of the frames to be the same size. So there we go. Right, ignore that bar, it'll disappear in a second. Right, we're going to add in an active object, and this is going to be our frog. So I'll click on it once, and I'm going to stretch it to be a little bit bigger, and double click on it to change it. So I'm clearing it, zooming in, and let's just do a quick frog shape. I should have filled in ellipse for next time. Here we go, it's not going to be beautiful. Oh, look at spindly legs. I have to make the other legs be a bit bigger. Definitely won't get sued, oops, by copyright for the frog looking that bad. Please don't judge. I've lost my mouse mat. Here we go. Some eyes, and give it a bit of character, give it some pupils. Perfect. Now I'm just going to move that to the bottom and rename it by pressing F2, frog. And you'll notice in Frogger, in the background, it's got this sort of grassy bit, road bit, grassy bit, water bit, and grassy bit that's actually the right colour. So let's emulate that now. So we'll go back into Clickteam Fusion, and we will insert a new object, and it's going to be a backdrop, but a quick one, a quick backdrop, so that we don't have to mess about with drawing it. We can just set a colour. So let's have the road as a very dark grey, and put that across, and then we'll do the water. So what I'll do is I'm going to right click and clone this, just so I get another version of it, and then change its colour to be a bluey colour for the water, and then I'll do the grassy bits, and I'm going to insert a new object, another quick backdrop, and this time it's going to be a different type of quick backdrop. Rather than a solid colour, it's going to be a motif, and we want to stretch it out here. A motif is like a tiled pattern. Well, it is a tiled pattern. When I edit the motif, we'll clear it, we'll choose a colour that's, we'll go with the purpley colours so that the frog stands out. Classic purple grass that you get in 1981 from Konami. So don't quote me on that. There we go. Get some purple grass there, and I'm going to hold down Control just to copy it to here, and we're going to also add it there. Great. Righty-ho. Let's get our frog to move. Now we could just, on the frog, we could change its movement properties to 8 directions, and then if we were to run the application, we can just use the arrow keys. It's not really the type of movement that Frogger is known for. He's used to hopping about. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave him as static movement, and we're going to set some events in the event editor to get them to move. So new condition, and we'll do it with, we could do it with a keyboard press here, the keyboard upon pressing a key, but I'm going to do it with the joystick command, because then it allows players to change their controls. So read joystick state, and it's already selected up, so let's do up. If it's up, then I want the position of the frog, I want its Y coordinate to be whatever its Y coordinate currently is, and it go up by 32 pixels. Now I said 32, that's probably not the right number. How big is our frog? I resized it. Our frog is 56 pixels, which isn't going to match. Let's set our frog to a standard size of 50 pixels, and then that allows us its movement to go in 50 pixel blocks. So minus 50. Now I'm going to drag the number 1 onto new condition to get the whole line again. So I can double click to edit, move downwards, and then edit this. We're going to add 50. Then do the same again. This time, oh actually, it's probably not worth copying it, because I don't want the Y position to change, I want the X position to change to be whatever its X position is, minus 50, and then its right position to be plus 50. So let's just run the application. There we go, and we've got that movement. I could smooth it out and have a loop happening that happens so that it keeps on moving it pixel by pixel, but just for ease for this time I'll leave it like that. But you could run something called a fast loop and give it a name, and in the loop you could get it to run it 50 times of minusing a pixel off, and then it would more smoothly move 1 pixel at a time 50 times. But I'll leave it like that. Let's just put a limit in. So you can only move upwards if your position is greater than 50, because the Y coordinates start at 0 at the top, so you need to be more than 50, and you can only go down if you're lower than the frame height minus 50. And then move left and right is going to be, you can only move left if the position of the frog is greater than, the X position is greater than 50, and then you can only move right if it's lower than the frame width minus 50. Let's have a quick go, because I'm not sure that'll work first time. Yeah, that works okay. Works okay. Yeah, it's not perfect because of the positioning of, let's have a look. The positioning of the center point, which is called a hotspot, is not dead center. So if I pop that in the dead center, that might work a bit better. And if I start the frog positioned dead center as well. So currently he's there, he should be 320, should he? No, what should he be? 240, of course. 240, half of 480. Right. Perfect. There we go. I've developed some movement for my frog. So the next thing is there's some obstacles in the game. We'll quickly add in those. Do you remember there's cars that go along the bottom, and there's some turtles and some logs. So let's add in some cars. So I just double clicked to get insert quickly and double clicked on active to get it, and let's add a car. Once again, a very quick car. So make it stand out from the road. Let's make it white. Let's give it a windshield, or a windscreen as we call them. Some windows, and there we go. Not spending long on this. And we'll add some tyres. Don't worry, I'll separate them. There you go. It almost looks as good as the ones from 1981. Let's add a number on top of it, like a police car. Great. Okay, so there we have our car. We will set that movement to be a bouncing ball movement with an initial direction of just to the left. So it will go off to the left, and the speed of 60 is going to be way too fast. Let's set it to 15, but we might in future levels, if you're making it have future levels, you might set this speed in an event to be matching what a counter. So let's call this car, and if we run the frame, there's our car moving along. Now it's going to go off the screen and never come back, so let's just let's pop it into a group to make things much easier of some objects. So obstacles, maybe obstacles, that'll do. So I can then say that if anything that's an obstacle, if its position, if its X position, if it's lower than minus 100, then pop its position to be whatever the frame width is, plus whatever it is, position wherever it is, frame width plus 100 plus wherever it was, which will be a minus number. So it should, if we get, I'm just holding control down to make multiple versions, if I do this, we should get the cars coming on. Now that 100 doesn't seem to allow for much space, sorry about that. Let's go to here, let's say minus 200, and set this to be, move it across 200, so that a bit more of a gap. Now if we watch this, don't think it makes much of a difference, but I'm now one car short, so I'll just add another car in. Yeah. Okay. That's far too many cars, isn't it? So let's make it a bit easier, and let's add some more cars here. Add them higher up. Now the cars, I think, if we watch back, going at different speeds. Let's watch. Different directions even. Probably same speeds but different direction. So I realised they're all too big, but because they're the same object, if I click on them once and then change the size, there we go, that's better. And I'll just have 3 layers of cars. I'm going to clone this, and all I'm going to do is rotate it 90 degrees twice and pop some cars here, set their movement, their initial direction to be to the right. Now what I'll do is I'll say that if the position, this might not work, let's see, if the position is greater than, it should work, the frame width plus 200, so it's going off to the right, then set the position, set the X coordinate to be minus 200, oh wait a minute, set it to be whatever the whatever its position is minus the frame width minus 200. Alright, let's give that a go. Yeah, seems to be working okay. Although my frog has not got a chance getting past those cars at that speed. So I'll just change the speed of the cars. There's only 2 different objects, let's say it's 6. I regret making my frog that big. There we go, better. Yeah, better. Right, okay. Now I'm going to add some logs in. Now this area here, I'm going to set it that if the frog goes into it, not on a log, it splashes in the water and dies. So I'm going to have to do something with some overlapping rules here. So I need to make sure that my logs are going to be big enough to overlap. So let's insert an active object, stretch it out. This can be a lovely log. So clear it and set it to be brown. There we go. Oh, let's add some texture to it. There we go. Obvious log. And once we'll put it in the same, to save on our coding, we will find the obstacles. There we go. We'll say it's an obstacle so that it will loop around the screen. And oh, sorry, movement, it needs to be bouncing ball. Let's set these speeds to something useful. 6. What I'm going to do is, I should have done this at the beginning, turn on a grid, show the grid, and set up my grid size to 50 by 50. There we go. Now I've got a better understanding of where my frog can go. And there we go. So we'll set these here. And give it a name, log. And then we'll clone it, reverse the direction. Sorry, reverse the direction, initial direction. Oh dear, didn't set the initial direction of those. So clear it and set it there. Right, here we go. Right, now if I run the frame, there we go, we're getting there. Getting there. Slight issue of logs spawning. Randomly. The middle logs seem to be having some issues there. And so I've spotted that code error that I've highlighted on the video, that the position I've set to the car, and I don't want to set it to the car, I want to set it to obstacles, because that's what's happening there. Right, now if I run my application, these logs will go off one end and come on the other end. That was the issue. Right, okay, well, it's always good to learn. Let's see if I can get across. Fine. And jump on. Great. So I need to make the frog on top of everything. So what I can do is I can go to my frame editor, right click and say order to front, or I can just make it that a new condition at the start of the frame will set the frog's order to the front. Okay. That means that if I add any objects later on, I don't need to reset it. Now we want to make it so that this area is dangerous, so I'm going to do that with sort of a zone. So I can say a new condition, if the frogs pick or count compared to the number of frogs in a zone. So I'm going to just do this to allow a bit of space, to allow it to be half on and half off something. So if we get into there, if the frog is equal to 1 in the zone, let's end the game. And also we might as well we'll restart the application even. We'll restart the application. And also what we'll do is we'll do that when we hit a car. New condition. If I collide with a car, now I've got two different types of car, so unfortunately they both look the same. So just put it there and I will restart the application. I should put the cars maybe in a separate group, but here we go. Live and learn. Run the application. Let's hit a car. Restart. Great. Jump into the water. Great. Okay, so let's sort out this log issue now. If we go in the water, restart the application, unless, insert, if I am overlapping a log. Now the logs aren't in a group either. So let's sort that out. Let's get a log, hold down shift, and put these logs both in the same group. Background scenery, that'll do. And we might as well put the cars in the same group if we're going to be tidy. And there's a vehicle group already, so add vehicles. Right, great, vehicles. So now we can say that if I collide with a vehicle, great, and if I am overlapping, it's frog, overlapping another object, if I am not overlapping them, then restart the application, run frame. So we need to be able to stay on the log, that's the issue. So it's not the fact. There we go. Whee. And not. There we go. Splash. We need us to follow along with the log. So what we need to do is we need to say that if we collide with another object, one of the groups of logs, then I'm going to use my alt-fill values. Now alt-fill values are counters that are within objects. So I'm just going to create a name for them in this little setting here, and we'll call it xposlog and yposlog. It's a name for a great band. So xposlog, yposlog. So then I will set when this is going to be. I want to find out where we hit the log, the offset of the log. So position. No, not that. Sorry, alt-fill values. We want to set the xpos log to be whatever the logs group, whatever their x coordinate is, and we'll take away our position, our coordinate from it. And then we'll set the position, set the y coordinate, oh not y coordinate, sorry, we'll set the ypos log to be whatever its position is in the y's minus our position in the y. So that should be the difference between the two numbers, right? And we should also set log ID. We'll also set this log ID to be whatever the fixed value is. Now every object that you create in Clickteam Fusion has its own identification number, and that's called a fixed value. So we will learn the logs one. So a new condition, if we have a log ID which is different to 0, that must mean that we hit a log. Then we want to set our position, set our x position to be whatever the logs group x position to be. Takeaway, I think takeaway should be takeaway. Should it be plus? We'll find out. Find our x, our offset. Maybe it should be a plus. We'll find out. And we need to do that with y. So position, set our y coordinate to be whatever the log's position y coordinate is minus our position, not position, our offset. So what we're doing is we're hitting a log and we're getting the offset from where we hit it to its location, and we're also finding out its ID, and then if we've got an ID we're going to follow that log. Now let's just test that. That's not everything. Yeah, magic. Leaping to another log. Now it didn't know which log we should follow, so we need to say that rather than our log IDs not equal to anything, we need to check, we need to say if a log, if their fixed value is equal to our log ID, then it knows which log we're talking about. We don't need that command. So let's try running that. Good. Now can't move left or right. Stuck on the log. Stuck on the log. Right. And so we need to say that when we push up, down, left or right, we need to lose that log ID. So that if we move, we need to set our log ID to 0. So ultimate values on each of these, we're adding an extra action to say ultimate values set your log ID to 0. The ultimate values set the log ID to 0. We've moved that way. Okay, let's try running that. We're on, and once we're off, it forgets about it because once it treats a collision as a one-off event. So if we move along the same log, it doesn't help. So we need to change this. We need to replace this, that if this is overlapping, then it'll always do that. If it's overlapping and we don't already have a log ID, compare one of the option values if our log ID is equal to 0. Okay. Let's try running that now. Oops. Good. It's better. Perfect. So I'm just going to add the final rules in so that you can complete it. So we could have a number of frogs. I'll just copy this rule down in this area. If we manage to get to this area here is 1, then what we'll do is we'll end the application and we'll just say that a new condition, if the frog's position, if we manage to get outside of the game area, then we will restart the application. And let's just quickly test that. And here we go. Yay! And then I just want to test going on a log and sailing off. So just some basic things there. And should we restart? Yes. You can add in some score, add in some lives, make the speeds of the cars dependent on the level you're on, and if you plan better ahead, you can place everything properly within the grid level. But there we go. There's a Clickteam version of Frogger. I'll save that, upload that, and you can access it from this website here. Have fun making!